Jenny Wilcox of Wilcox's Way, and I want to spend a few minutes telling you what in the world is a math story. So last year I was lucky enough to get to go to this amazing conference, and at the very first session it started out with the coolest problem. But the thing you won't believe is the problem was actually one of your traditional like two trains problems. You know, the kind we all hated in high school. Two trains are traveling on a track towards each other, blah blah blah. But what made it so amazing was the way that they did it. So we started off to find directions that we had to come up with a spy team name and take a team selfie. So it was a great start. And so then they had this whole story about how these two trains were carrying, tons of antimatter, and they accidentally were heading on the same track towards each other. And if they managed to get to the same place, they were going to, explode and blow up the world or something terrible like that. And your team's job was to deploy the one helicopter that held the antidote to the right location where the trains would meet so that we could avert all disaster. Really eye-opening for me that, we all complain as math teachers that kids hate story problems, and we blame it on the fact that story problems are hard and they're hard for kids to process what the problem is. And I think part of what we ignore as math teachers is that part of the reason why kids hate story problems is because of the stories. Like the key word there, part of it is story. And if we think about what makes us love other stories, it's characters and it's action. And when we give kids story problems about going to the store to buy 42 cantaloupes and 63 apples, there's not a lot of character, and there certainly is not a lot of action that's interesting and compelling. And so I came to the realization that if we can put those things into our story problems to make them intriguing so that kids want to do the math because they are part of the story that they actually care about, that there's a lot of power. So then fast forward a week to when I'm planning my lessons the next week, and there's this kind of lame story problem in my book about the growth of kudzu plants. And on this day it's this long, and this day it's this long, and it's your standard stuff, and it's pretty boring, but it kind of sparked something in me where I was thinking of this video I had seen about what would the world be like 50 years after humans are gone. And one of the things was that in Atlanta, I think, that kudzu had completely overtaken the city, and buildings were crumbling because of it. And so putting those things together kind of sparked me that maybe I could take this pretty lame story problem that had the math I needed my kids to do and put it into some more interesting context that my kids would actually care about, and come up with some better experience that gave them the math they needed, but was interesting enough that they were wanting to learn it. That's how my math stories got their start. And if you're interested in finding out more about them, I do have a few of them that you can find if you think that might be a fun thing for your class to do. You can find out more about them on my Teachers Pay Teachers site. Thanks for listening.